Chosen one, lean in. Because what I'm about to tell you is not just another message, it's the very thing your spirit has been craving. You've walked through too much fire, endured too many whispers, and survived too many silent nights just to be here, listening at this exact moment. This is not coincidence. This is appointment. They wanted to see you fail. They waited for it. Some even celebrated in private when you stumbled, as if your pain was entertainment, as if your struggles were proof that you were never who God said you were. But let me tell you the truth. What they expected to break you has only built you. What they thought would silence you has only amplified the sound of your destiny. You've been through trials that others could not endure. You've carried weights that would have crushed ordinary souls. Yet here you are not broken, not buried, but standing, breathing, rising. The very fact that you are still alive, still awake, still hungry for truth, is the greatest evidence that failure was never your end. Chosen one. This season is not about proving yourself to people. It's about letting heaven prove that it was with you all along. Every attack, every betrayal, every mocking laugh, they were allowed to test the foundation beneath your feet. And guess what? That foundation did not crack. It did not crumble. It held, because it was not built on the opinions of man. It was anchored in the unshakable word of God. Listen closely. Your enemies thought your story was over. They thought your silence meant defeat. They thought your isolation meant abandonment. But what they failed to understand is that silence is not weakness, it's strategy. Isolation is not rejection, it's preparation. And the season where you looked like you were losing was actually the season where God was rewriting the rules of your victory. You see, there comes a moment where heaven flips the script, where the one underestimated, the one overlooked, the one mocked suddenly emerges as the living testimony that God cannot be mocked. And that moment is now. This message is the confirmation you've been sensing in your spirit that the things that were meant to bury you are becoming the very soil that lifts you higher. Chosen one, don't you feel it? The shift? The trembling under your feet? The air around you has changed because your story has shifted. This isn't about failure anymore, it's about fulfillment. This isn't about shame anymore, it's about showing the glory of God through your resilience. Stay with me, because as we move forward, I'm going to show you not only why they wanted to see you fall, but also why heaven allowed it and how the very forces that conspired against you are about to witness your undeniable rise. Because the truth is, none of this was random. Every tear you cried, every closed door, every season of delay, it was all orchestrated by a hand greater than yours. You may not have understood it in the moment, but heaven understood it. The same God who spoke galaxies into existence has been authoring your path, even through the chaos, even through the shadows. And while people stood on the sidelines waiting for you to collapse, God was in the secret place, lifting you. He was whispering strength into your bones, breathing endurance into your spirit. The very moments you thought you were alone, when the silence was so heavy it felt like the sky itself had closed, those were the moments His presence wrapped itself around you like armor. Hear this clearly. Your survival is not just a result of willpower, it is the evidence of divine preservation. You were held. You were kept. You were sustained by a force that your enemies could not calculate and your critics could not comprehend. That's why you're still here. Not because the battle wasn't real, not because the weight wasn't crushing, but because the one who called you refused to let your story end in disgrace. Even now, His Spirit is confirming it inside you. That gentle stirring, that sudden awareness, that undeniable knowing it's Him. The same voice that spoke to prophets in the wilderness. The same voice that steadied David in the caves. The same voice that told Esther she was born for such a time as this. That voice is reaching you now. And what does it say? It says you were never overlooked. It says the rejection you faced was divine redirection. It says the opposition that came against you was never about your weakness, it was about your assignment. Because the higher the assignment, the greater the resistance. The more sacred the calling, the more vicious the attacks. And yet, here you are, not only surviving them, but being shaped by them. That's why you felt so different from the people around you. That's why their paths and your path could never look the same. God set you apart. He marked you with His seal before the foundation of the world, and no amount of gossip, betrayal, or sabotage could remove that mark. What He has claimed cannot be unclaimed. What He has blessed cannot be cursed. And this is the authority behind the words you're hearing now. Not the authority of man, not the shallow approval of crowds, but the eternal authority of the one who created time itself. The message unfolding before you is not opinion, It is confirmation. It is heaven's verdict being spoken over your life. They wanted to see you fail, but God has already decreed your victory. Let this sink in for a moment. You don't need to strive to prove anything to them anymore. The proof is already in your survival. The evidence is already in your endurance. And soon the testimony will be undeniable, because what God has begun is now entering a phase of revelation. Stay with this word, because in the next moment, the veil will be lifted even further. What was hidden in mystery will be spoken with clarity. You're about to hear the prophecy that explains why the fire was so hot, why the attacks were so fierce, and why your breakthrough has been delayed until now. What has been stirring in the unseen is now ready to be declared. The mystery that's been pressing against your spirit, the questions that haunted your nights, the strange weight that sat on your chest, all of it was pointing to this. You are walking into the very season they swore would never come. The season of vindication. The season of unveiling. This is not just about surviving attacks. This is about the reversal of every word spoken against you. It's about the shift where God Himself steps into your narrative and says, enough. Every false prediction about your downfall, every mocking laugh that echoed when you stumbled, watch now as heaven silences them with undeniable evidence. The prophecy is this: what was meant to expose your weakness will expose God's strength. What was orchestrated to ruin your reputation will instead reveal His restoration. The traps they set, the pits they dug, the weapons they formed, they will not only fail, they will boomerang. And when they do, the very people who doubted your destiny will witness the hand of God setting a table before you. Picture it. Imagine a banquet hall prepared in the Spirit, the lights dim, and then spotlight. Not on the ones who conspired, not on the ones who thought they'd win, but on you, seated at a table spread with blessings you didn't have to beg for, victories you didn't have to scheme for, favor you didn't have to manipulate to gain. A table prepared, not by your effort, but by His decree. This is the prophecy. Your elevation will be undeniable. And this elevation, it's not just financial, not just relational, not just emotional. It is holistic. It is spiritual. It is the kind of rise that cannot be measured in human terms because it isn't about status, it's about purpose. You are being positioned so that everything God placed in you, every gift, every vision, every drop of oil, can flow without hindrance. But listen carefully. This prophecy does not mean the path will be without friction. In fact, the unveiling often provokes greater resistance. That's why you've been under such relentless pressure lately. Because the enemy caught a glimpse of what's being birthed, and panic set in. He knew he couldn't stop the prophecy, so he tried to stop you from believing it. That's why the attacks were so personal. That's why the betrayal cut so deep. That's why the delay felt unbearable. Yet here is the part he could never change. Prophecy is not built on human approval, it is rooted in God's eternal word. What He has spoken cannot return void. What He has decreed cannot be undone. And right now, that decree is breaking through every layer of opposition, every lie of the enemy, every heavy chain of doubt that tried to suffocate your belief. Feel this truth. The unveiling will not just surprise your enemies, it will surprise you too. Because even though you've hoped, even though you've prayed, you have not fully seen the magnitude of what God has been preparing. The blessing will come in ways you didn't predict, from directions you didn't expect, through doors you never thought would open. And when it comes, it will come swiftly, like lightning cutting across a darkened sky, like a key suddenly turning in a locked door, like a wave crashing after long silence. The shift will not be gradual, it will be undeniable. Overnight, the narrative will change. Overnight, those who mocked will fall silent. Overnight, the promise will manifest in a way no human could deny. This is why you've been feeling the tension so strongly. Because prophecy is weighty. It presses against your spirit, demanding space, demanding faith. And now, as you hear these words, that weight is beginning to shift into release. Mark it well. You are not waiting for the prophecy anymore. You are stepping into it. The unveiling has begun. And though some will still hope to see you stumble, their waiting will be in vain, because God Himself has set the stage for your rise. The next part of this word will take you even deeper, because prophecy doesn't just announce what will happen, it reveals why it's happening and what it means for your soul. Prophecy without meaning is just noise. And what heaven is doing in you is far more than a dramatic turnaround. It is a living parable, a story written into the very fabric of your soul. What you've endured and what you are stepping into are not isolated events. They are chapters in a divine narrative, each one revealing spiritual principles that stretch beyond your personal story and into eternity itself. Think of the storm. When the sky darkens, when waves crash, when lightning splits the horizon, most people see chaos. But those who walk with God know the storm is not random. The storm is a classroom. The storm is the environment where faith is tested and forged. Your storms weren't punishments. They were revelations. They revealed who stood with you and who abandoned you. They revealed the cracks in your foundation and the strength of your anchor. And most importantly, they revealed that you cannot be destroyed by what was designed to intimidate you. The storm is symbolic of every trial you faced. The betrayal that blindsided you. The moments when resources dried up. The season when prayers felt unanswered. Yet through it all, the meaning was this. The storm didn't come to kill you. It came to teach you that your foundation is not sand, but rock. It came to prove that when the winds howl, when the floods rise, you remain unshaken because your life is built on the eternal word. Then there is the image of doors. Doors that were slammed in your face. Opportunities denied. People who dismissed you as if you were unqualified, unworthy, unchosen. At the time it felt cruel. But the meaning behind those doors was divine strategy. God was not rejecting you, He was redirecting you. Every closed door was protection. Every no was a sacred shield, guarding you from rooms that could not carry your calling. From partnerships that would have diluted your purpose, from platforms that would have exploited your gift instead of honoring it. And now, because you endured the rejection, heaven is preparing to swing open doors that no man can shut. Not just one door, many. Doors aligned with your destiny, doors leading to influence you could never manufacture, doors so tailored to your purpose that when you walk through them, you will realize why every lesser door had to close. Seasons, too, hold meaning. There were winters in your soul, barren stretches where nothing seemed to grow, where prayers echoed back like silence. There were springs, moments of sudden awakening, when hope blossomed again in small ways. There were summers, times of warmth, clarity, and progress. And there were autumns, times of letting go, shedding what no longer served you. These seasons weren't random cycles. They were divine rhythms shaping you for endurance, resilience, and discernment. The meaning of your seasons is this. You've learned how to carry joy in summer and faith in winter. You've learned to bloom in spring and release in autumn. And because of this balance, you are unshakable. Another image, fire. Not the gentle warmth of a hearth, but the consuming blaze of trials that seemed unbearable. That fire was purification. It burned away illusions. It stripped false attachments. It refined your motives until only what was eternal remained. You went in feeling fragile, but you came out carrying gold, pure, solid, unbreakable. Fire proved that you are not who they thought you were. You are stronger, deeper, more radiant. And then, light. Light breaking through darkness. This is perhaps the greatest symbol of all. Because what you've been carrying, your endurance, your obedience, your quiet faithfulness, has been a hidden light. For a time, God concealed it, letting you develop in secret, far from the stage, far from applause. But now, the covering is being lifted. The light that once flickered in hidden rooms is about to shine in open places. Not because you demanded it, not because you sought attention, but because light cannot remain hidden forever. It must reveal itself. And you, your story, your testimony, your resilience are that light. Do you see the depth of it? This was never just about you. It was never just about enemies or critics or setbacks. It was about the eternal principle that darkness cannot overcome light, that storms cannot erase foundations, that closed doors cannot cancel destiny, that fire cannot consume what God has refined. Your life is living prophecy. Every hardship has been carrying hidden meaning. Every delay has been carrying divine timing. Every silence has been carrying sacred strategy. And now, the unveiling is not just about your vindication. It's about God's glory made visible through you. The spiritual meaning is clear. You were the vessel chosen to reveal a truth to the world, that what man calls failure, God calls foundation. That what man mocks, God magnifies. That what man curses, God transforms into blessing. And the depth of this truth will carry you forward, no matter what comes next. Because as we step into the next phase, You will begin to see not only the meaning but also the signs, small and large, that confirm this prophecy unfolding in real time. When heaven begins to move, it always leaves evidence. Prophecy does not remain abstract. It starts to echo into your daily life through signs, confirmations, and subtle indicators that remind you, yes, this is real. Yes, the shift has begun. Some of these signs you've already noticed. Others are on their way. And when they appear, they won't be random coincidences. They will be divine markers, each one pointing to the reality that the prophecy is unfolding before your very eyes. The first sign is unusual clarity. Where confusion once clouded your decisions, you will suddenly feel a sharpness in your spirit. You'll wake up with answers to questions you've carried for months. Conversations will align in such perfect timing that you'll know it could not be orchestrated by man. This clarity is not just mental, it's spiritual. It's heaven's way of showing you that your steps are ordered, your vision is aligned, and your discernment is sharper than ever. The second sign is exposure. People who once pretended to be for you will reveal their true intentions, not because you go looking for proof, but because God Himself will uncover it. Masks will slip, words will be overheard, actions will betray hidden motives. And though it may sting, this exposure is a gift, because it frees you from illusion. It confirms that the separation you felt from certain people was not paranoia, it was protection. The third sign is reversal. Situations that looked permanently closed will suddenly swing open. A denied opportunity reappears. A path that was blocked clears. A report that once read negative shifts to positive. These reversals are not accidents, they are fingerprints of the one who controls time itself. They remind you that man's no does not cancel God's yes. The fourth sign is favor that makes no sense. Doors open that you didn't knock on. People extend kindness who once ignored you. Resources arrive without you begging. This favor will confuse even you, because it won't be connected to status, wealth, or influence. It will be connected to obedience. This sign is confirmation that your faithfulness in hidden seasons is now bearing visible fruit. The fifth sign is inner peace. Not the fragile kind that depends on circumstances, but the deep, unshakable kind that anchors your soul even when storms rage. You'll notice that what used to trigger you no longer shakes you. What used to terrify you no longer controls you. This peace is confirmation that you are not who you used to be. You have grown. You have matured. You are walking in the evidence of transformation. And finally, the sixth sign is acceleration. Delays will suddenly break. Long-standing prayers will suddenly manifest. What once felt stuck will begin to move quickly, almost too quickly to process. This is heaven's way of catching you up to destiny, redeeming the time that was stolen, proving that nothing was wasted. Watch for these signs. Write them down when they appear, because they are not random. They are confirmations that you did not imagine the prophecy. You did not fabricate the promise. This is real. It's unfolding. And each sign is heaven's whisper. I am with you, and nothing can stop what I've begun. And yet before the full blessing arrives, you must also understand the hidden challenges. Because just as signs appear to confirm your rise, obstacles appear to test your faith. Every prophecy has a proving ground. Every blessing has a battlefield. And those signs confirm your rise. Challenges will test the depth of your faith. These struggles are not punishments. They are divine calibrations, shaping you to carry what's coming without collapse. The first hidden challenge is patience. As acceleration begins, you'll still encounter moments that feel painfully slow. Doors may open but not fully swing wide. Promises may manifest in part, but not yet in fullness. In these pauses, impatience will whisper that God has forgotten. But understand this. Delay is not denial. Delay is the interval where your spirit gains strength to handle the weight of sudden elevation. The second challenge is isolation. Though the signs of favor increase, you may find yourself more alone than ever. Relationships shift. People pull away. Misunderstandings multiply. This loneliness is not abandonment, it is consecration. It is the sacred space where God removes the noise so you can hear Him clearly. If you misinterpret it, you'll feel rejected. But if you discern it, you'll realize you've been set apart. The third challenge is temptation. As influence grows, so does opportunity for compromise, for shortcuts, for self-exaltation. The enemy will not stop at open attacks. He will disguise himself as flattery, as offers that seem too good to be true, as voices telling you to bend just slightly. But the challenge is clear. Stay anchored. What you compromise to obtain, you will eventually lose. What you stand firm to steward, you will keep forever. The fourth challenge is fatigue. Rising requires energy. Shifting seasons demand endurance. You may feel the weight of spiritual warfare pressing harder, draining your strength. Even victories can leave you weary. But remember, the same Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead dwells within you. Your strength is not drawn from your own reserves, it is drawn from an eternal source that never runs dry. The fifth challenge is misunderstanding. People will misread your motives. They'll misinterpret your silence, your focus, your confidence. Some will call it pride. Others will call it rebellion. But do not waste energy defending yourself. Let time and fruit speak louder than explanations. Those meant to understand will discern in due season. And finally, the sixth challenge is warfare. The closer you draw to fulfillment, the more the enemy will try to intimidate you. Strange dreams, sudden conflicts, unexpected resistance. These are not signs of failure, they are proof of proximity. You are too close to break through for the adversary to remain silent. But take heart. No weapon formed against you shall prosper, and every tongue that rises in judgment shall be condemned. Hidden challenges are not here to break you. They are here to refine you. They are heaven's way of proving that your character matches your calling, that your faith is sturdy enough to carry fulfillment. And now, having faced these challenges, you must receive the instructions, because prophecy without direction can be mishandled. But when heaven speaks clearly, and you respond in obedience, nothing can derail what is coming next. When prophecy is released, it carries power. But when you respond to that prophecy with obedience, it carries fulfillment. Words alone do not shift destiny, alignment does. And so now, as the veil has been lifted and the meaning revealed, here are the divine instructions for this next season of your life. The first instruction: guard your atmosphere. Not everyone can have access to you in this season. Your conversations, your environments, your daily inputs, these shape your spirit. If you allow bitterness, gossip, or fear to seep in, it will dilute your discernment. But if you fill your atmosphere with prayer, worship, and the Word, you will walk in clarity no storm can shake. Protect your ears, protect your eyes, protect your heart. This is not selfishness, it is stewardship. The second instruction: stay consistent in the small. The elevation ahead will be dramatic, but the preparation requires daily faithfulness. If God is asking you to pray at a certain hour, do it. If He is nudging you to forgive someone, obey quickly. If He is prompting you to rest, listen. Breakthroughs are not always born in grand gestures. Often they are unlocked in quiet, hidden acts of obedience. Heaven notices consistency even when man does not. The third instruction: write the vision. The chaos of the last season scattered your focus, but this is the time to make it plain. Write what God has shown you. Journal the dreams. Record the ideas. Draft the plans. Because when acceleration hits, you will need clarity to steward opportunity. Writing the vision is not just organization, it is agreement. It is you saying, "Yes, Lord, I believe what you've spoken." The fourth instruction: release offense. This may be the hardest one, because the betrayal was real. The words cut deep. The abandonment left scars. Yet offense is a chain that binds you to old seasons. To walk into freedom, you must let go of the bitterness, not because they deserve it, but because you deserve peace. Forgiveness does not excuse their behavior, it releases you from the prison of it. Let God be your vindicator. Your only task is to keep your heart pure. The fifth instruction: prepare for visibility. You've been hidden, but the season of unveiling means more eyes will be on you. This is not the time to shrink back in fear, nor to perform for approval. It is the time to stand confidently in authenticity. Prepare spiritually, mentally, and emotionally for greater influence. Ask yourself now, when people see me, will they see ego, or will they see God? Visibility is not about spotlight, it is about reflection. The sixth instruction: cultivate gratitude. Elevation without gratitude leads to pride. But when you anchor yourself in thanksgiving, every blessing becomes fuel for worship. Begin now. Thank Him for the closed doors. Thank Him for the delays. Thank Him for the lessons. Gratitude shifts your posture from striving to receiving, from entitlement to humility. And humility is the soil where greater favor grows. The seventh instruction: move in silence when necessary. Not every strategy needs to be announced. Not every victory needs to be posted. There are assignments that require discretion until their time. Learn to discern when to speak and when to stay silent. Sometimes silence is the loudest declaration of faith because it says, I trust God enough to let Him reveal me in His timing. And the final instruction: remain anchored in prayer. Prophecy is sustained not by hype, but by communion. Prayer is your lifeline, your source of wisdom, your shield against deception. Do not let busyness replace intimacy. The more doors that open, the more time you must carve out to stay on your knees. Because the higher you rise, the deeper your roots must go. These are not casual suggestions. These are divine strategies. Follow them, and you will not only step into prophecy, you will remain in it. Ignore them, and you risk sabotaging what has already been secured in heaven. The blessing is real. The promise is unfolding. But your obedience is the bridge. Cross it faithfully, and you will discover that the very path meant to destroy you has become the road into destiny. And as you obey, remember this: you are not walking unprotected. Heaven has already encircled you with covering. And in the next breath, I will show you the assurance that you are never walking this journey alone. With every prophecy comes a promise, and with every instruction comes protection. You have not been left to navigate this rise uncovered. Heaven has already positioned shields around you, layers of divine assurance that ensure you will not fall where others have fallen, nor stumble where traps have been laid. Understand this: you are encircled. Even when you can't see it, you are wrapped in a covering that defies human explanation. The same way Elisha's servant looked out and saw an army of enemies surrounding them, yet his eyes were open to see an even greater army of fiery chariots on the hills. That same reality holds true for you. You are never outnumbered. You are never unguarded. One layer of protection is angelic assignment. Angels have been dispatched to guard your steps. Scripture says they encamp around those who fear Him. That means even in ordinary routines, walking, resting, traveling, you are covered. Near misses, sudden shifts in schedule, delays you didn't understand, all of them have been divine maneuvers to keep you safe. Another layer is the hedge of prayer. Prayers you've whispered in weakness, prayers your ancestors prayed decades ago, prayers others lifted for you without you even knowing they've built a spiritual firewall around your life. The enemy wanted to cross certain lines, but those lines were marked in the Spirit by intercession. You are alive today because prayer has been working silently on your behalf. There is also the covering of the blood. When the Israelites placed blood on their doorposts, destruction had to pass over. That wasn't a historical one-time event, it was a prophetic picture of your reality now. The blood of the Lamb covers you, marking you as untouchable territory. Attacks may form, but they cannot penetrate the seal of covenant over your life. But perhaps the greatest assurance of all is His presence. Protection is not just about what's kept from you, it's about who walks with you. The Spirit of God has promised never to leave nor forsake you. That means when you step into boardrooms, when you walk into difficult conversations, when you face nights heavy with silence, you are not walking in alone. You are flanked by presence. And where His presence abides, fear cannot. This assurance does not mean challenges will vanish. It means you can walk through them with unshakable confidence. Like Daniel in the lion's den, you may feel the heat of danger, but mouths are shut by divine command. Like Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fire, you may feel the flames, but there is always a fourth man walking with you, ensuring you come out without even the smell of smoke. So rest. Rest even when the warfare intensifies. Rest even when you can't predict the outcome. Rest. Not because life is easy, but because God is faithful. His shield is not temporary. His hand is not fragile. His protection is not selective. It is constant, unbreakable, eternal. And because you are this covered, you can move boldly into transformation. For what lies ahead is not just survival, it is fulfillment. The next step is not about avoiding failure. It is about embracing the fullness of who you were always meant to become. This is the part you've been waiting for, the part where the testing gives way to triumph, where the prophecy you've carried in hope becomes reality you can touch, breathe, and live in. Transformation is not coming, it is already unfolding. And fulfillment is no longer a distant promise. It is the atmosphere around you right now. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing something has shifted. The heaviness that used to weigh on your chest is gone. The dread that lingered over your future has lifted. The whispers of failure that once haunted you are silenced. Instead, there is lightness. There is clarity. There is a quiet confidence that says, I made it. I'm standing in the place they said I'd never reach. This transformation is not just external, it is internal first. Your mindset has shifted. Where you once doubted, you now believe. Where you once questioned, you now trust. Where you once feared, you now walk in authority. That inner transformation is the foundation of the outer fulfillment. Because long before God changes your circumstances, He changes you. And when you change, everything around you must realign. Fulfillment then begins to ripple outward. Relationships shift to honor who you've become. Opportunities align with the calling you carry. Resources flow to support the vision that once seemed impossible. Doors that resisted you before now swing open with ease, because your spirit carries the weight of destiny that commands access. Picture this. The very voices that laughed when you stumbled now watch in stunned silence as you rise. The same ones who whispered about your supposed failure are forced to acknowledge your undeniable fruit. And though you no longer need their validation, heaven allows them to see it not for your ego, but as proof that God's word never fails. The transformation is holistic. In your finances, you'll find stability where there was once struggle. In your relationships, you'll discover alignment with those who strengthen rather than drain you. In your purpose, you'll feel a fire that no longer flickers but burns steady, guiding you into assignments that matter on an eternal scale. And fulfillment, it will not feel like a single event. It will feel like a flow, a rhythm of grace, favor, and breakthrough that continues to unfold. Like waves that keep arriving at the shore, blessing after blessing will roll in. Some large, undeniable, public, others quiet, intimate, deeply personal. But together they will testify that your season of lack, of silence, of being overlooked has ended. And as it unfolds, gratitude will overwhelm you. You'll find tears running down your face for no reason except the realization, God really did it. He kept me when I thought I'd break. He lifted me when I thought I'd drown. He proved them wrong, not with vengeance, but with victory. This is the picture of fulfillment. Not just success by human standards, but wholeness. A life aligned with heaven's rhythm, a heart at peace, a soul burning with purpose. This is the transformation that turns victims into victors, the forgotten into forerunners, the overlooked into overcomers. And this is only the beginning. For once you step into fulfillment, you step into multiplication. What was once your private breakthrough becomes public inspiration. Others will look at your life and realize that if God did it for you, He can do it for them. And in that moment, your story becomes more than survival, it becomes seed. Now, to seal this transformation, you need the final words. Not just explanation, not just prophecy, but blessing. A covering of affirmation that will stay with you long after these words fade. And that is where we now go. Take a deep breath. Because everything spoken over you must now be sealed not in fear, not in doubt, but in unshakable faith. You've walked through the fire, you've endured the storm, you've pressed through the silence. And now, the final word is this. It is finished. The prophecy stands. The blessing is released. Hold on to these affirmations. Speak them aloud until they sink into the marrow of your soul. Let them echo louder than doubt, louder than critics, louder than the enemy's whispers. Say this. I am not defined by failure, I am refined by fire. Say this. Every closed door was protection, and every open door is purpose. Say this. No weapon formed against me shall prosper, for I am covered and chosen. Say this. What God began in me, He will complete, and nothing can stop it. These are not just words. They are swords. Every time you declare them, you cut through the fog of doubt. You silence the lies of the adversary. And you remind your spirit who you truly are. And now, the blessing. May the peace of God overshadow every restless thought. May His hand steady every trembling place in your heart. May His favor run ahead of you, opening doors before you even arrive. May His angels surround you, guarding your steps in unseen ways. May His Spirit burn within you, reminding you daily that you are never walking alone. Let the oil of joy replace every residue of sorrow. Let the mantle of strength clothe you where weakness once tried to dwell. Let the sound of heaven's approval drown out the noise of earthly criticism. You are blessed not because of perfection, but because of obedience. You are covered not because of status, but because of covenant. Walk boldly now. Lift your head. Straighten your shoulders. The very ground you walk upon has been prepared for you. The same people who wanted to see you fall will have no choice but to witness you rise. And when they do, let your victory point upward, not inward. Let them see that it was never by your might, never by your power, but by the Spirit of the living God. This is your moment. This is your time. You are proof that God's word does not fail. Step forward in faith, and may every step echo the truth. They wanted to see me fail, but heaven has already declared my victory.